Hey, so today for language arts, we are going to be focusing on varying sentence patterns. So sometimes we need to adjust our sentences to make them make sense, or sometimes we have run-on sentences, which are those sentences that go on and on and on, and we need to split them up. But this little lesson just kind of gives us an idea of how we can do those things, okay? So let's look at the introduction here. Good writers use a variety of sentence types. They mix short and long sentences, and they find different ways to start sentences. Here are ways to improve your writing. Use different sentence types: statements, questions, imperatives, and exclamation. So in earlier grades, you should have learned about the 4 different types of sentences. Our statements are the ones that where we make a statement, make a claim, period. Okay, they use periods. Questions obviously use a question mark. Okay, you ask a question. Imperatives, gosh, which one is that one again? Of course, I forgot. Make a claim. That's a statement. Trying to think. Let me see if I have any helpful hints here. Actually, I don't. So sorry, I don't know. But we can look it up. I actually haven't taught statements, questions, and imperatives and exclamations in a very long time. So, because the idea is that when you're in 6th grade and you come into 6th grade, you already know these things. So we can move on into a different topic. Exclamations are obviously exclamatory remarks, right? Yay, let's party, and we use exclamation marks. Okay, use different sentence structures: simple, compound, complex, and compound complex. Sometimes begin a sentence with a prepositional phrase or a dependent clause. So a dependent clause is kind of like what we've been learning about in with algebraic expressions, how we have independent and dependent variables, right? One depends on the other to be solved. It's the same thing. One in a sentence, a dependent clause depends on the independent clause to make sense in your sentence. Okay, we went on an impressive field trip. We went to the Science Museum. The building was huge. It had many exhibits. I especially liked the laser exhibit. You should make sure to visit the museum. So here's how we can make this short paragraph better. Our field trip to the Science Museum really impressed me. So instead of saying that it was an impressive field trip, we could say that it really impressed me. The building itself was huge. Okay, that takes care of that sentence. And it was filled with exhibits. Okay, so we combine these 2 sentences just like we combined these 2 sentences. Do you dream of seeing actual lasers? So I especially like the laser exhibit. We now have a varying sentence type by adding in a question. Do you dream of seeing actual lasers? At some point, then, be sure to visit the museum. So at some point is our dependent clause, which obviously it requires an explanation. Be sure to visit the museum. You won't be sorry is an exclamatory sentence because it uses an exclamation mark. Okay, so this revision has all these different types of sentences in it, okay? So let's look at how we're going to fix these sentences right here. Change the sentence to a question. It is fun to learn about insect colonies. Let's do it in red. So we want to change this, as I said, to a question. So let's see. It is fun to learn about insect colonies. How about, wouldn't it be fun to learn about insect colonies? There we go. Okay, how about number 2? Use the word when to combine these sentences. I looked at the museum map. I noticed a new insect exhibit. Okay, so why not put a dependent clause in here then? So when I looked at the museum map, comma, I noticed a new insect exhibit. So there you go. So that one works. Okay, how about the last one? Combine these sentences so that the new sentence begins with a prepositional phrase. It was near the entrance to the exhibit. The first thing I saw was a giant grasshopper. Okay, so if it wants me to start with a prepositional phrase is like at the school or near the entrance would be the prepositional phrase for this particular one. So it kind of gives us a location in a prepositional phrase. It can give you time. So let's go ahead and start with near the entrance. So we're going to pull that prepositional phrase out of that first sentence. So near the entrance. And then I'm going to use a comma to separate my prepositional phrase with the other part of this near the entrance. Oh, wait, hold on. So the exhibit was near the entrance. So near the entrance to the exhibit. There we go. So I'm being specific here to say where is the exhibit? It's near the entrance. I saw a giant grasshopper. Okay. So, I mean, I could leave it as that, but I did not include the first thing I saw. So I could also put here the first thing I saw. I mean, it's kind of explained because you're near the entrance of the exhibit. So obviously that would be the first thing that you saw. So you could add it in. You don't have to. The first thing I saw was a giant grasshopper. Let me move my camera up so you guys can see it. Okay, so what you are going to do is you're going to do numbers 1 through 4, and you have sentences here, and they're all labeled 1, 2, 3, and 4, and you're going to revise that sentence. How can you make that sentence better? For instance, number 1, many of the insects were robots, and it's telling you what is the best way to revise sentence number 1. So A, for me, the insects were robots. B, when looking, many of the insects were robots. C, to my surprise, many of the insects were robots. D, surprised, many of the insects were robots. So is there any that we can like for sure cross off that this would not work? I'm thinking for sure D, like that won't work. Yeah, the other, I think there's one that for sure stands out to me. Sorry, I was thinking and rereading because you guys can't answer me. Sometimes I forget that I'm on a video and not live with you guys. But so for me, I feel like there's one that's really good here. And I hope you guys can see it too, but I think it's C. I think that's the best one. To my surprise, many of the insects were robots because I think that would be surprising. And that's why this one didn't work because it doesn't sound right. Surprised, many of the insects were robots. The sentence just doesn't work. It doesn't sound right. These are okay sentences. I just feel like they're not the best. And that's what we want here is the best. So that's what you're going to be doing for numbers 2, 3, and 4. And then turn in your answers, this page, into your assignment for today. All right, guys, I'll see you later.